Good morning, Benjamin, Daniel, Council Generals, friends. Usually this time of the year, I will do my annual drill of sending a letter to chambers, major organizations, fellow government departments, urging us to adopt a summer sort of dress-down code. So I'm practicing it, and so pardon me if I do not dress as formal as you are, but I believe that, well, increasingly that becomes the trend in Hong Kong. And also, well, if we look at the Chinese lunar calendar, I think there was a day last week says it marks the beginning of our summer. And also you can see from the blue sky, Hong Kong is entering into a time where summer and winter are marked by an additional parameters. It's summertime when the wind blows from the south. We have beautiful day like what we're having today. But summertime, when the wind blows from the north, is a bit challenging. Now, to say so is not to lay the blame on either side of the boundary, but also says that, well, efforts need to be paid by all of us, including people in Hong Kong, the community, the vibrant, economic, robust community, where we see it a major share of our responsibility to be the greenest city in Indonesia. But at the same time, we're also watching things moving rather aggressively in the mainland in going green. And I think that's also the topic today. We are talking about the 12th five-year plan. What does it mean for Hong Kong? What does it mean for the nation in the whole sort of global campaign against climate change? Now, perhaps I'll share some observations from where I stand on the 12th five-year plan. And then I'll go over later quickly a small PowerPoint as some of the reminders for some of the pointers, and then I'll open up for discussion, because I'm sure in this audience, you will know far better than many of us what will be the opportunity opening to us in China's green economy. Now, since the release of the 12th five-year plan in mid-March, I think many people have commented on the general layout of the 12th five-year plan. More people focus on Hong Kong because this is for the first time that we have a section or a chapter on Hong Kong and Macau, which is something we strive to include, not to become part of the five-year plan, but rather to position ourselves to leverage on the new plan that is rolling out in the coming 5 years. But perhaps one very noticeable development in this year's, in the 12th five-year plan is emphasis on the development of green economy. Now, some commentator mentioned that, well, this is perhaps the first five-year plan that places top priority in protecting the environment and also addressing climate change. I'm sure, well, climate change and environmental issues were covered in previous five-year plan, but looking into the plan, I believe that it might be having the greatest emphasis ever since in tackling climate change. I say so because first, I think for the 12th five-year plan, it has categorically mentioned about a dual emphasis on both resources conservation and also building an environmentally friendly society by rolling out a range of programs. Now, also in this 12th five-year plan, climate change and environmental issues are being placed in a prominent position. And in fact, a full paragraph was there detailing China's commitment to international cooperation and the UN-led climate negotiation processes, including concerns of climate finance, technology transfer. So clearly, in the roadmap for the next 5 years, the country has moved from tackling the environment, building an environmentally friendly society, to a very firm and clear commitment in joining the world in tackling climate change. I think that's for sure. Now, another observation is the concept of sustainable development is now coming into the center place of the planning. You may recall it back, and I think in 2003, when President Hu mentioned about 科学发展观, scientific approach to economic development. That was, in fact, the Chinese concept of sustainable development. But in the 12th Five-Year Plan, I think it is now crystal clear that sustainable development is now the policy driver, not just for environmental policy, but also for the entire economic and social development. Because sustainable development is being captured as the goal for bringing about resources conservation, in building an environmental friendly society, and also to bring about the ultimate purpose of social harmony. So it becomes a very central and core policy driver in the entire development. And I think time and again, the nation has mentioned the changing emphasis that, well, the heavy environmental toll that we have been paying in the past cannot be continued. So it is a very clear direction that, well, sustainable development is now the key in driving a sustainable growth for the country. The third observation is that in pursuing sustainable development as the policy directive, in building an environmentally friendly society, and in tackling climate change, a clear target has been set, like previous five-year plans, but focusing on not just pollution reduction, but also on energy reform and in bringing about low-carbon development. Now, the obvious indicators are the 40 to 45% carbon intensity reduction, which China has brought to the table when they attended the Copenhagen UN conference 2 years ago. In order to achieve that national goal, in the 12th Five-Year Plan, it has categorically mentioned a short-term target. That means by 2015, carbon emission per unit of GDP will be reduced by 17%. Now, this is against a high growth period. It also mentioned about the energy intensity reduction to be reduced by 16%, also by 2015. So this adds to the longer-term target, which also paved a very concrete pathway for bringing about carbon reduction. Now, on the environmental pollution side, the COD, the chemical oxygen on demand, and the SO2 emission will be reduced by a further 8% in this 5 years. Ammonium nitrates and nitrogen oxide emission reduced by 10%. So these are the renewed pollution reduction target that are being added on to the success of the 11th Five-Year Plan achieved in the last 5 years. It is also worth mentioning that even on the energy sector, there is a clear indication that, well, the non-fossil fuel should be reduced by 15% by 2020. So again, this combination of key targets point to three major directions. Traditionally, pollution reduction targets, which are hard targets that, well, each province would need to fulfill. Energy reform or energy targets now being set with a view to bring about a reduction in the carbon footprint of the entire nation. So these are clear targets set for the coming 5 years to achieve the environmentally friendly and sustainable growth that I mentioned in the outset. Now, in addition to setting targets, in the 5-year plan, we have observed that at least two very useful points. One is the very substantial investment that the country is putting into this whole area of environmental or green industry. It is estimated that about 3,000 billion renminbi will be put into this campaign of going green by bringing about a green and sustainable growth covering the coming 5 years. This 3,000 billion renminbi national investment is in fact a double of what the country has committed in the previous 5-year plan. In addition to that, I observed that, well, they have also listed out 7 what they call the strategic emerging industries, SEIs. Now, they include biotechnology, clean energy vehicles, energy conservation and environmental protection, new energy, high-end manufacturing equipment, new materials, and next-generation information technology. Now, these are the major industries that the country believed should be the focal point of going to the next stage of development. But you can also tell from the description that, well, at least 4 out of the 7, i.e. the biotechnology, clean energy vehicles, energy conservation and environmental protection, as well as a new energy, are closely related to the green economy development that we are all familiar with. So I would believe that, well, arising from this target setting, policy drivers, as well as identification of major industries that the country will be focusing in the next 5 years, the roadmap is clear that, well, a number of, or a clusters of industries will be in the forefront to help the country in achieving this goal. Now, the list, well, I've seen different research identifying up to 40, 50 different industries, but to make life easier, I try to group them into the following categories, which I think will be very close to what you have been doing in the business sector or the country that you're representing. Now, that includes like energy conservation and efficiency improvement. Because if energy is to be picked as one of the development, it covers both supply side and demand side. So energy conservation, energy efficiency improvement are certainly the key while they are searching for new energy. Clearly, smart grid and new energy development, alternative energy, including solar, wind, hydro, nuclear, natural gas, clean coal, biogas, and waste energy are now in the forefront. Now, all these are energy related, but also there could be sort of software type of industry like energy audit or energy performance contracting. All these are also related to this big area of energy, which in itself would be a key, but at the same time is a very important tool in bringing about a low carbon economy, in reducing the carbon footprint. Now, emission control and cleanup are of course important, and also in area near to us, the Pearl River Delta area, which is traditionally the manufacturing base, not just for the nation, but in fact for the world. How to clean up, how to bring about cleaner production, how to bring about green technology into improving the environment on the one hand and improving the operational efficiency of the industrial undertaking is also a key. I think that's an area that we have, and we can claim certain success. With Daniel sitting here, the cleaner production project that we launched in the last couple of years are seeing benefits. So I think they will have momentum. Another related area would certainly be the green transport. Here we are not just talking about individual vehicles like electric vehicles, but also system changes, the whole emphasis of rail or off-road development, the use of non-fossil fuel, and how to make use of green transport, not just as a transport vehicle, but also for energy storage or usage. And last but not the least would be green building material, green building management. I was sitting next to the Council General, we talk about in Europe, there are so many buildings. Now, homeowners are not looking for extravagance of chandelier or well-decorated places, but how to make use of best environmental friendly material to conserve energy, to make life more livable, but at the same time more sustainable. I think the whole thing would also be emerging in mainland China. Now, in capturing this development, I think there are certain characteristics of this new movement, particularly on the business side. That we obviously seeing a rapid and continued urbanization of the mainland, not just in traditional coastal cities, but also in inland cities. But in this urbanization, clearly, there need to be a more balanced growth between the coastal provinces and inland provinces. One thing to bridge this gap is, in fact, the technology gap and the new concept, and the concept of sustainable growth.